Howdy gang, this is a roaming prepper. Thanks for coming to check out the new video. Today what I'd like to do is go over what I do when I inspect my family prep, specifically the food products. Now there are different things you should be inspecting at different intervals, but today we're going to talk about what to look for when you're prepping, checking your preps for food. I'll be right back. Hey gang, welcome back, and thanks for checking out the new video. Don't forget to like and subscribe below, and if you have any questions about the video or any of my content, please leave a comment below. I make a lot of effort to try and answer every comment and every post. You can also email me at theroamingprepper@gmail.com. I'm pretty good about responding to that as well. I'm also on Instagram and I am on Rumble, so if you need to reach out to me on any of those platforms, feel free to do so. What we're going to talk about today, though, is looking and inspecting your prep inventory of food, specifically the dry goods, the canned goods, and some of the mid and long-term preps. It's important to make sure that you inspect on a regular basis to make sure your food's up to date. What I like to do personally is, because I lived on the Gulf Coast of the US for so many years, it's still a habit, is around May, June time frame, and it's July right now, so it's getting a little late. I like to check the inventories, make sure they're squared away. I also do it in the winter, typically November, December. We wind up cooking a lot of food anyway because we have family, the kids come over. So we burn through a lot of canned goods, a lot of pasta, a lot of rice, and that gives me an opportunity to pull stuff out of inventory, use it, and then inspect it while I have everything out. So today we're going to focus on how I inspect the different products to make sure they're viable and things I'm looking for if they're not viable anymore. You do miss stuff. So if you are a new prepper, don't get discouraged if you buy stuff and then you lose track of it. I'm going to try and help you guys keep yourselves organized. Now, because of the way my house is laid out, I have preps in different places in the pantry and the shelves. Some stuff is with my camping gear, so instead of dragging the camera around, I'm going to bring the products here, and then I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking for the individual types of products. So hopefully this will help you keep yourself organized and make sure you have the freshest product available to you, and a few little tricks I've learned along the way. So let's go start with the dry goods and we'll work our way across some of the preps. Okay gang, so I've quote unquote canned or really jarred a lot of dry goods, and I have to do it a specific way because of the business I'm in, and I'll explain that in a second. So obviously salt doesn't need any oxygen absorbers. You just need to make sure it's not exposed to humidity where it gets funky. Salt will last pretty much for centuries, so I do put a date on there just so I know when the hell I packed it. Doesn't really need much. You just kind of put it in its little jar. My wife made the labels with that Cricut thing that makes t-shirts, so I thought that was pretty cool. Now sugar, you just want to inspect it every now and then. You make sure you don't get critters in it. It should be pretty self-sufficient. One thing, do not put an O2 absorber in this. Now salt doesn't need it, but if you put an O2 absorber in sugar, you will get a block of sugar, like it will harden and you will not get it out. So what you wind up having to do is to soak the jar until the sugar dilutes and pours out, so you just wasted it. Do not put oxygen absorbers in sugar. You can, if you want, do put a vacuum on it, which may not be a bad idea. I don't know if I did or not, but anyway, those are your two like primary spices. Now this was some pancake batter or flour, sorry, and I checked it, I put a seal on it, and I put O2 absorbers, but apparently some of the powder got into the seal. And in inspecting it, so that was done March of 20. So this thing lost its seal, and so there's no bugs in it. I will look, I have the date I did it, but yeah, you probably need to reseal it or figure something out with that. So I pulled that one. Oatmeal should last for a long time. I put O2 absorbers, and after I got my food saver, I even pulled a vacuum on it, but this one was fine, so that'll go back to the shelf. I did put directions, because not everyone in my family knows how to make the oatmeal. Again, date on the bottom, but this should last for quite a while. Now the pastas have slightly different recipes, but still did the pastas, put a label on it. In this case, I actually had some labels. What it is, how to cook it, and the date. Now, you're probably wondering, those of you who are canners, why are the rings still on the can? Or on the jar, so to say. Well, because of my career, the residence I'm living in at the moment would be owned house number 6 and residence number 10 in 25 years. So that gives you an idea how frequently we move. And it's not unheard of. The company will call me one day and say, hey, great job out there. We're moving you to, I don't know, McMuffin Town or something. And the moving crew shows up. I kid you not, the last time I did a company relo, they cleared out a 3,500 square foot, 2-story house with property and a detached garage in under 72 hours. It was empty. And then they unloaded in less time in the new home. So at any point in time, I could get a call and they're like, you're relocating, go find a new house in such and such place. And even though I don't need the rings, I leave them there because the moving crew doesn't necessarily understand what canning is, and they may treat the product harshly and it may bust the seal. So if it busts the seal, I'm gonna have tomato sauce or God knows what all over my moved goods. I want to be sure these are secure, so if the seal fails, at least it has the ring as a backup. Normally you don't need to do it, and to be honest, if you're using, and I don't know a lot about canning, but I have read enough to know that if you do dry goods or if you do water bath canning, you could develop rust under the ring if you leave it there. So I probably wouldn't leave the ring if it's a water bath canned product, but you know, for dry goods like this, that won't be a bad idea. In any case, so those are things I look for in the jars. So moving over to a few more products that I'm gonna look through. Typically, I will store the pasta and the Italian sauces, stuff like that, separately, and I'll store them together. Well, I say separately from other stuff. I'll store them together because I tend to use them together. And that's a little trick on keeping your inventory under control. I'll go through that in another video. But while I was going through there, I found that this can of tomato sauce, which I will use for chili, I'll use for pasta, I use it for a variety of stuff. It's actually tomato puree. Went out of date last month. So those two are probably gonna go. Tomatoes, tomato sauces, because of the acidity, may go bad a little faster than some other stuff. Now this one, the can is good as far as date, but it's showing rust in the lip. You can't really see it, but I'm not a fan of that, right? Obviously, if this was an emergency and I needed to use it, I'd probably at least test it and see if it tasted good. But if it's already showing rust, I don't need it. I typically will not use tomato paste unless I'm making a chili or certain types of Italian dishes. So I can replace that. That's easy to do. And remember, don't be economic. Okay, you've seen my shorts on YouTube and Instagram. Be economic with what you're buying, but don't be cheap, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If there's any question about it, if in doubt, throw it out. Obviously, in an emergency, you have to take a different mentality. But if you can still get products, there are no zombies running around, don't hesitate to throw out a 50 cent or dollar can of pasta sauce, because you want to save a buck or 50 cents, and then somebody gets sick and you spend $200 in the hospital. Now, for the pasta, I love Berea pasta. There are a few brands I like. This is kind of the more generic, like spaghetti night pasta. I'm gonna look for little damage. This is still sealed. Make sure the date is good. This is good till next year, so I got months on this one. Also, if you shake it face down, and you can look and see if you see any evidence of bugs or anything in there. Typically, this kind of pasta, I rarely get critters. And because the environment I live in now is so dry, I don't see a lot of humidity effects on the pasta. To be honest, I like Italian food, so this thing probably will never last anywhere near its shelf life. Now, this guy actually just straight up expired, so that goes over there as well. Now, here's another one, and a lot of people throw this out, I think, prematurely, right? So it says, has an expiration date, which is about 6 months from today. This is just like a generic mac and cheese from H-E-B. You can get them at Kroger, you can get them at Key Food, pretty much anywhere. But it has a cheese pouch. It's kind of like, it looks like melted Velveeta in a pouch. I found out that the expiration date's really for that pasta, that sauce. If you throw the pouch out and make the pasta, it's probably still good for another year. So keep in mind, there are certain things, the expiration date is for the package as a whole, not necessarily the subcomponents. So if this expires, you can throw away that cheese pack because that's probably going to turn. But the pasta should still be good, so you just put something else with the pasta. Maybe, that sauce that was about to expire before it got rusty, and throw that on there, and ta-da, you have something to eat. So don't throw things out. I mean, be smart. If there's any doubt, again, if there's a doubt, it's better to spend another 50 cents or a buck than to get food poisoning, especially in an emergency. That's what I'm looking for the pasta and the dry goods. Those are going to have to go to the trash, unfortunately, but it's a good time to look and see. I have other cans there. I also, when I pull them, especially the more liquidy cans, I give them a little shake and get everything kind of mixed up in there. That's not a bad practice, but so these are going to rotate out. These are going to go to trash, and well, these two aren't. Those guys will go. And we'll go to the next one. My son loved ramen noodles as a teenager, so I bought a case of the damn things. But he had been in Asia on deployment, and he said, "Dad, if I eat another ramen noodle, I'm going to throw up." So I had a pile of these. We didn't use them without him consuming them as quickly as I expected. So I have a whole batch of those bad boys that basically I can't use. So keep in mind, unlike normal pasta, ramen noodles will, they have a fat content to them. They're not just like flour and semolina and stuff like that. There's a fat content in there, not including the packet, which is really just a salt lick. Fortunately, they're cheap, but if this is a good time when you buy stuff to assess exactly what it is you do and don't use. So we obviously didn't use these anywhere near the rate we thought we would. So we're going to chuck them. There's no need to have rancid noodles around, so that's good. We do use canned corn quite a bit, and we found the expiration date was in about the next 6 months. The other cans were next year. So I'm going to move these cans to the front of the line. Now remember to inspect the lids, especially if they're pull tab. The pull tab does not last as long on the shelf as a sealed can, top and bottom, because there's a bit of a weak point where you do the pull tab. They do have a decent shelf life, but this is something we'll definitely use, so that'll go back on the can. So these will get moved to the front of the line. And now, as I mentioned in the earlier clip with the canning of goods, when you relocate, you sometimes lose track of stuff. So this stuff expired. This Bush's baked beans, which we make for like summer barbecues, that expired 2 years ago. And I just found the can in the back. The can's still in good shape, but 2 years past expiration, unless I'm dying, I probably wouldn't risk it. Now this one's neat. I do get this, and I use it not just as a salad dressing, but I use stuff like this as a marinade. I put chicken and beef in there. It has a 6-month shelf life, if I recall correctly, maybe a year. But I kind of lost track of these. They expired as well, so those will go to waste as well. And I can't donate them. If I had a month left to use and I know I'm not using them, I'll donate them to the food bank because I know they'll use it. But this stuff's already past expiration. But since times are good, there is product in the store. I've already looked and seen most of this stuff. I'm not stressed about it. I'll just replace it with something else and move on from there. All right, gang. Well, I hope that was useful to give you guys some ideas about things you should look for as you go through your inventory, how to make sure you've disposed of or removed anything that's not useful. If it's your first time going through your inventory, if you're a new person into preparedness in the last couple of years, especially during the Rona, and you said, oh, I'm going to buy stuff, and now you have a hodgepodge of things and you're a little confused, hopefully this will help organize your inventory now. We don't have riots in the streets. South Africa's falling apart, but the U.S. is holding its own. Do it now. Get your shit ready. And actually, there's a dent in this can. Get your shit ready, and hopefully that'll prevent you from having to go to a hospital or to a store in the middle of some disaster. Remember, the more you're on the street, the more you're at risk. I did a video on things to do and not to do during civil unrest. I'm going to do a follow-up for that, which is going to be along the lines of, if you do have to go out, how do you approach that? Especially if you're like me, I'm in a state where I can carry, I'm licensed to. What do I carry? How do I carry? How do you stay prepared and not attract attention? Because that doesn't help you. In any case, separate video for that one. Folks, like I said, like and subscribe. I hope this helped. This is a longer technical video than I normally do. I try and keep them around 10 to 15 minutes. This one's going to go over, I can already tell. But I want to be sure you guys understand that you need to take the time when things are not in chaos. Go through your stuff and assess what you need and what you need to throw. And also, great time to find out what you will or will not use on a regular basis. Don't spend the money or the space on stuff that only one member of the family eats. That kid or that husband or wife or whatever is just gonna, it just sucks to suck. They're gonna have to do without it. So I'm gonna call it here. This is the Roaming Prepper. Thank you for coming to watch the video. Again, like and subscribe if you have questions, because I know there's a lot of material covered in this particular video. Leave your comments down below. I will be happy to try and answer those questions. Until next time, Godspeed if you're traveling. Blessings to all our troops deployed, hua, to all the Army boys out there, and girls, of course. And to everyone else, be safe, be ready, pay attention, and if you can, help somebody out. Take care.